Was one of Pam's one of your slides, talking about the major mental health providers is the Cook County Jail, the Los Angeles County Jail, and Rikers Island. There's money for that, for jails, but there's not money for treatment. Romney says he's going to cut Big Bird, okay? What I understand is that the federal allocation to PBS is spent by the Pentagon every 6 minutes. But yet, it's a big deal that we have to get rid of PBS. We're not prioritizing what's really important. So when, back in '72, when all those patients were being released into the street, some were finding their way into the jail. The jails were built for them, or the jails are there providing supposedly treatment. But why not put that money to work for the patient?
It's an attitude that's just in the part of our society that's really showing up.
I think people don't really understand what treatment is necessary.
So go ahead.
They do understand how much money we have to spend for these political advertisements that are on constantly throughout the night, and it must cost a fortune, millions of dollars. Why isn't any money spent on patients, on mental health?
To you guys, it obviously is a choice. And why? Yes, sir.
The perception is the mentally ill don't vote.
And they're poor.
And they're poor, predominantly.
They're not worth it.
Excuse me?
They're not worth it. They're not worth the investment.
Exactly.
So where
They
does
don't have
government take care
a
of it?
viable lobby behind them.
Right.
Okay, and I mean, to me, this is essence, because we spend thousands of dollars and thousands of hours. I know Pam's organization does, I know different organizations that I do, all work on this organization, constantly educating the legislature. Every single election cycle, we have to do the same thing over and over and over again. It seems like it just dissipates every single time. What can we do? Is our society basically saying mental health is not important?
Yes.
Why?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Out of sight, out of mind, because we're not pleasant to look at? Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm just curious, as I said, I came from Massachusetts, and
Hi, my name is Joyce Golden. We just moved to Florida from Massachusetts, and where they have a lot of cuts and issues, not liking to fund mental health. What's happening in Florida that is the 50th in the country in terms of dealing with mental health? What's different here?
The population is different here.
The voting.
The voting population is different here. The sociology is very different here. And there are many good people here. For heaven's sakes, there are many good people here. We have excellent hospitals, excellent doctors. They really are here. But if you look at the overall, obviously, these are the people in the legislature now who are voted to go into the legislature. So obviously, as a patient of mine said, the way they're treating us is the way the people want it to be. Otherwise, they wouldn't vote for these people. Agree or disagree?
Well,
I mean,
it's a little more complicated.
I know it's complicated, but I will tell you that I have sat on so many committees. I've been to Tallahassee so many times. I've been to Washington, D.C., and so on, and I get tired of telling them over and over. I'm saying, don't you have any curiosity? Don't you want to learn from the last legislative group? Don't they sit down and tell you something? Why is it that every time we have to start from scratch?
It's rare when it's rare for, in my experience, for anyone who's running for office to put forth mental health policy or even talk about mental health. It always has to be brought up by somebody else.
Are they afraid to do that?
Well, who knows? But it's never a priority for them to think that the community, with 1 out of 5 people affected by mental illness, that it would be a priority for legislators or anyone campaigning for our votes to bring it up without our having to tell them that it's an important issue.
While I'm walking over there, I just want to say that Phil has the advantage of having done 1,000 cases in the jails where he sees this over and over. I have often, I'm just lay back here. I've heard people say that the reason they don't bring it up because when you're mentally ill, you're ill for life and you're expensive for life.
I think that part of the reason is the wealthy politicians and whatnot. They're kind of ignorant to the idea of mental health because they're not their targeted audience in terms of who they want to vote for. Because, like he was saying, how people with mental health issues aren't necessarily wealthy because they're out of work or whatever. And we're kind of not the people that are the ones voting, so they kind of overlook us. And when they do see the statistics, they don't realize how severe the mental health issues are about with schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. It's a lot more than just a basic depression. Like we can be going through all these whole things, and they're all classified as one mental health group.
Agreed. Absolutely. And what is often forgotten is that those people who suffer from mental health still have that one little